to talk a little bit about Pretty Woman, actually, because that's my generation. And what I can say about that is the buyers, first of all, are no Richard Gere's, okay? So let's start there. Yeah. And, you know, it's just, again, like Rachel and most people have mentioned, it's just a film that was popular during, you know, time period in my life, and it's not the truth. It's not the reality of what it's like, you know? Like, you're not gonna meet this man, it's not gonna turn into this love story. There's nothing about Pretty Woman that even reflects any bit of the truth. So I think that in my day was one of the things where, you know, women of my age would say that that's just not true. And there was a whole campaign around that. So I also think there's another really problem that's near and dear to my heart, because I am a survivor of the stripping industry. And that industry is so normalized through media and through the culture of our men. And it's legal, right? But the things that happen in those clubs are unbearable. I can tell you that I've been out for a little over 20 years, and I have worked in therapy and EMDR and all types of healing techniques to heal from the trauma of prostitution. And when I got ready to, and started doing some writing actually on stripping, I still got some work to do. Because it's a very different feeling when there's many men in one place, you know, doing the boys will just be boys nonsense, which is another myth. And, you know, and having, you know, 50 eyes staring up at you, and then having it compounded with the fact that I was a ballet dancer from 3 to 15. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot tied into that for me. And I think that, you know, men have bachelor parties, and it's kind of like a rite of passage for men, at least in the US. I don't know about other countries. But it is the most toxic environment. And the healing from that has really been a long journey for me. Another thing I wanted to talk about was like a solutions type thing. And some years ago, I think it was 2014, some of us on this panel, we sent a thing to the Associated Press to try to get them to change their style book. It was a letter, actually. And we had some quotes from different people. I think Rachel was one of them. I was definitely one of them. Vednita, were you? You remember that? Okay, so that we sent and we asked them just to send out in the style book to stop referring to us exploited, prostituted persons as quote unquote hookers. Because in the media at that time, we were seeing a lot of that. I think that's improved, if I'm not mistaken. Or even this one's still going on, quote unquote prostitutes or a prostitute, because that is not the proper term. That's not what this is about. This is about exploitation of people in many different forms. So I think that was a powerful letter. I think it changed some things, but I think we need to send now another one, because I'm still seeing some other problems with the way people are identified. So I'm gonna pass the torch or mic on.
I just wanted to add on to what Autumn was saying about stripping, because one of the things that I've done is a lot of training in schools to like senior high school students, junior high school students. And like one thing that's very true is because stripping is legal. Whenever something's made legal, it doesn't matter what happens inside, it's legal, and so it's okay. It can't harm you, it's okay. And when I was talking in the school about just the dynamics of prostitution, we were talking a little bit about everything. We got into talking about stripping. And as soon as we started talking about stripping, the little girls got all giddy and smiling, and I said, well, what's going on? What do you feel about stripping? And what had happened, there's about 25 girls in this particular class. All of them but one aspire to be a stripper. They can't wait till they turn 18 years old. These are the little girls, you know, this is in Minnesota. But I'm telling you, that's how damaging the media is. When you see strip clubs and you see what's happening, they haven't changed, just as Autumn was saying. They are the most degrading, unhealthy environment for anybody. And these little girls aspire to work in that industry. And that's because they're not told, just like I wasn't. When I got involved, just graduated high school, I was never told the truth about what was lying before me. And this was way back, 70. So I thought it was gonna be glamorous, beautiful, all good. And it turned out to be the total opposite. And from just talking to girls now that I've worked with, within the last 10, 15 years, the mental, the psychological damage is what I'll say, that it's put on them. They can't understand why they're always depressed. Because it's legal. Well, why am I feeling this way? I can't seem to keep a man. I can't seem to, my life just seems to be real messed up because I can't put all the pieces together. And then you have to go back and ask them and go deep with them about how do you feel about stripping.
Can I add something real quick? And what I failed to mention about the stripping industry, which, goes to the point that I probably still need to do some work, but what happens in a champagne room is no different than what happens in a brothel.
Oh, yeah.
So those are obviously places that are private and things happen back there, the sex act that Vednita was just talking about. But I wanted to make sure and be clear on that, that it is brothel-like. And then the stripping obviously happens out here, and then there's these private rooms where other things go on that are illegal, actually. So anyway, I just wanted to add that since I failed to do so. I want to bring up something that hasn't been brought up, but believe it or not, I haven't done it in a while, but I have a program in Survivors for Solutions called Real Talk. And it goes into middle and high schools, and it's only led by survivors. That's it. So I'm obviously, a little older, so I try to get survivors to come alongside me that have diversity, and one school definitely wanted a male, and I try to match to the diversity, and then I just basically do a little bit of talking and do the curriculum myself, but I don't do a lot. But what I had to learn a lot too, because I had to figure out what are these kids doing, and at the same time I had a kid around that age at the time, and he was horrified. He's like, "Don't come to my school with that." You know what I mean? Please, Mom, I'm like, I won't, don't worry. But some of the things I learned were really horrifying around how young and what these kids are watching or playing on video games.
Oh, yeah.
For sure, Grand Theft Auto is one of them. And
Yeah.
I hope I'm not preaching to the choir, and at least one person doesn't know this, but Grand Theft Auto is a video game that a really popular one, where you get extra points for killing a prostituted woman. Extra coins or however that works. I don't watch it myself, and in fact, I was telling this story last night. I told my son, now never in my house will you get that video or the game. And he was real proud, got his birthday money, got a ride over there, came back with that video game, and guess what Mother did with it? I threw it in the garbage can. I said, I told you that's something I feel strongly about. And he was like, it was so-and-so, almost $80, blah, blah, it's my birthday money. I said, well, then next time follow the rules. But we have to remember these are our kids here.
Right.
This is what they're being exposed to.
Yes.
And this is partly what parents need to be aware of. Because there's a whole lot more stuff going on out there than that. I mean, there's apps and stuff that I've never even heard of. Instagram's one of them, and all these different things that are going on with the kids, and the amount of time, and I'm guilty as charged, I spend on my iPhone, fooling around. Now I'm not watching that kind of stuff, but the kids are constantly with the iPhone, and thanks to my son's grandmother, we have a rule we eat at her house, and the phone has to get put up, and so. There's just little tiny things that we can do to be responsible individuals around media. what we're being consumed, what our kids are consuming, and how that ends up playing out.